On today's show, Rita's dreams show a wide range of gifts, and they also show issues in childhood. Sophia, on the other hand, is worried about spells that hurt people and what she can do about it. Stay tuned to find out more. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and heroes on their journey. That's why we focus on dreams. If you want to know what you're meant to be doing right now at this moment in time in your life, then look no further than your dreams. Through analyzing your dreams, I reveal your potential and the obstacles you need to overcome. I'm very specific. I tell you what your superpowers are or what they might be if you listen to your dreams and the bumps in life that are holding you back. These bumps are not in the way, they are the way. To get your dream analyzed on our show, go to dream-analysis.com/podcast. Fill in the form there or use the email details that are there to just send us your dream. So let's dive straight into it, Sandy. What have we got?
Here we go. I'm excited about this dream. It is a fabulous dream. It's from Rita, and the title is A Creative Kid and Her Worries. I'm a primary school teacher's assistant. There's kids in the classroom. They're doing art. One crawls under the table. My friend hints me to look at her. She's carrying a stack of canvases. I asked her if I can see it. She shows me. I flip through the artwork. Some are on square bits of paper. Others are on cutout in shapes like a dolphin. She traces her hand for shapes and patterns on each of the art. Her hand is so small. She's only in kindergarten. There's one artwork that's black with a painted baby pink half hand. There are some heart flowers cut out that got sequins all over it. A bunch of the artwork have sequin. They look more vibrant while the others are painted and blend lots of colors and are more dull. I'm mind blown by the creativity. I tell her how good these are. I realize fashion brands could use these patterns. I could see a whole collaboration, especially with that sequin dress brand I know. I remarked how good they are again. It doesn't completely hit her. She says thanks softly. Later, her teacher gives her feedback. I go visit her at her desk. She says the feedback is behind her, but not sure where. I see this long receipt-like strip of paper, but wider and longer and slightly thicker feeling, but still with a receipt texture. It's tucked in her chair. I pull it out, and the teacher has critiqued each art. The standard feedback is quite text on black, and it just says yes and a blue tick. But when she left a comment for some, these were black text on white background. And as part of the first comment, it says they want to exhibit it as part of the Harry and Meghan's royal wedding. I paused, reread that, thinking the wedding's gone. There's even docos about it in Netflix. But then I realized we're in a different time and that it has yet to happen on this timeline. I think about how the royal family go pear-shaped, and maybe a royal setting isn't the best place for her to present her art. And then I realized I shouldn't interfere with her timeline and share the insights of the future. I congratulate her. Back in the playground, I see her. She seems distraught and distracted. I asked her what's up. She says she has to take care of her boy cousin. He's younger. And she seems stressed. We're in my actual kindergarten playground with Jakarta tree. I tell her she can challenge that. She doesn't have to take care of him. She asks and tells her parents otherwise. She can share how it makes her feel. She can even ask for a change of outcome. Maybe they can be put in different schools. Who knows? She looks scared and worried, like she's going to cry. I comfort her, saying it's okay, and reassure her that she'll be able to talk to her parents. She's an African-American girl with braids, the girl I saw in the movie the other day. Oh, that's it, Michael. Wow.
All right. Amazing. It just seems, it is a longish dream, but it seems longer because of the way it's it was written and sent to us. But this person has a serious number of gifts. And as usual with long dreams, we're just going to go over it and then stop every so often and I'll tell you what it means. So let's get back into it.
All righty. I'll start at the beginning. I'm a primary school teacher's assistant.
Okay, so perhaps she's a spiritual leader because that's what a teacher in a dream represents. But since this is her regular job, and I'm assuming that, we need to find some other evidence to back up the fact that she's a spiritual teacher. Now, I channeled on this, and yes, she is, but the dream backs it up later with the whole royal family thing.
Interesting. There's kids in a classroom.
So this is about learning about yourself, but of course, bringing you back to childhood.
All righty. They're doing art. One crawls under the table. My friend hints me to look at her. She's carrying a stack of canvases. I asked her if I could see it. She shows me. I flick through the artwork. Some are on square bits of paper.
Okay, so artwork is about ideals and goals. It's always good in a dream, but they're on square bits of paper, so the dreamer limits herself. That's what the square is about. And that's backed up by the fact that she crawls under the table. She's limiting herself.
Others are cut out in shapes like a dolphin.
So straight away, we know she's a channel. Again, this is backed up at the end of the dream because the little girl is actually an actress from a movie that Rita saw.
She traces her hands for shapes and patterns on each of the art. Her hand is so small, she's only in kindergarten.
So tracing her hand tells us that she's a hands-on healer. Unless you think that's too much of a leap, her next dream starts with a mural that says goods and food, with food delivery or service always being about healing, since food is the energy source for our body. She's small and her hand is small. This is obviously about an issue in childhood, but also says that Rita limits her hands on healing. Maybe she doesn't even do it at all yet.
Wow. There's one artwork that's black with a painted baby pink half hand. Then there's some heart flower cutouts that got sequins all over it.
So this is about issues with mom, not receiving unconditional love from mom. Again, her next dream backs this up, and even this dream backs it up further. Her next dream starts off with her trespassing, and that's about not feeling welcome while in the womb. So we know the big issues come from mom. And here, they're actually being healed with the flowers and the sequins on the flowers. So really making them, the love, flowers being a symbol of love, making it stand out and sparkle.
Oh, I love that. A bunch of artwork has sequins. They look more vibrant, while the others are painted and blend lots of colors and are more dull. I'm mind blown by the creativity. I tell her how good these are.
So this is healing for her childhood, interacting with the young girl and being so positive with her.
I realize fashion brands could use these patterns. I can see a whole collaboration, especially with the sequins dress brand I know. I remark how good they are again. It doesn't completely hit her. She says thanks softly.
So this means it doesn't really hit Rita either. But what's lovely is Rita sees the beauty of all of this and says, no, fashion brands could use it. So fashion brands meaning that this could be on display. This could be seen by the world. In other words, I could be seen by the world, which is the opposite of how Rita felt in childhood.
Later, her teacher gives her feedback. I go visit her at her desk. She says the feedback is behind her, but not sure where.
This is Rita's childhood issue. The feedback behind her is the feedback she got in the past.
I see this long receipt with a strip of paper, but wider and longer and slightly thicker feeling, but still with a receipt texture.
So a receipt is not good in this context. They come from a cash register, which implies that mom put a price on her feedback or her love is really what it means.
It's tucked in her chair. I pull it out, and the teacher has critiqued each art. The standard feedback is white text on black. It just says yes and a blue tick. But then she left a comment on some. These are black text on white background.
So the black and white combination is never good in any dream. Mom saw things in a black and white way because it's the teacher. This is the teacher's critique. The blue tick is good though. This is a spiritual endorsement. Blue is the color of spirituality, and it's acknowledging the young girl's spiritual expression.
Ooh, that's cool. I like that. And as part of the first comment, it says that they want to exhibit it as part of Harry and Meghan's royal wedding. I pause, reread that, thinking the wedding's done. And there's even documentaries about it on Netflix. But then I realized we're in a different time, and that is yet to happen on this timeline.
So the dreamer is a spiritual leader. We knew that from the start. But with the royal family, that backs it up. Leadership and teaching, they're the same thing. Not the same as leaders as we have today, but I've said that to death on the show. But in this timeline, she has not stepped into it yet.
That's interesting how they point out timeline and how she's not stepped into it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I think about how the royal family go pear-shaped, and maybe a royal setting isn't the best place for her to present her art.
Here she's saying that leadership is not the right goal for her to pursue. It is, Rita. We know it is. You know it is. But this is typical in a dream. We see our gifts and then we come up with a reason why it's not a good idea to pursue that gift.
Yeah. But then I realized I shouldn't interfere in her timeline and share the insights of the future. I congratulate her. Back in the playground, and I see her. She seems distraught and distracted. I asked, "What's up?" She says she has to take care of her boy cousin. He's younger, and she seems stressed. We're in my actual kindergarten playground with a Jakarta tree. I tell her she can challenge that. She doesn't have to take care of him. She can ask and tell her parents otherwise. She can share how it makes her feel. She can even ask for change of outcome. Maybe they can be put in different schools. Who knows? She looks scared and worried, like she's going to cry. I comfort her, saying it's okay, and reassure her she'll be able to talk to her parents. She's an African-American girl with braids. I saw her in a movie the other day.
All right, so the playground is where kids play, but not this little girl. She's given responsibility for her male cousin. Now, that part may not be accurate in the dream, but the pressure to be responsible at a young age is. And being scared and worried is also going to be true at that age, of course, but she may still be scared and worried today. This is how she felt as a child, though, and Rita is healing this very well at this point in the dream. In fact, the dream is extremely positive. It's only that one part where she's saying, oh, maybe she shouldn't display her artwork at the royal family wedding. But then she decides, oh, I shouldn't interfere with that. So overall, Rita gets an A+ for this for this dream, considering it's a school project that's going on in the dream. Because typically what we do is we spoil our dreams, but this one doesn't really get spoiled, and I really like that. And she's very encouraging to the little girl, saying, look, you can do this. And she's given her a whole list of ways she can address the problem. Now, of course, the dream is a workshop for Rita to address her own problem, and the little girl is afraid to do all of this. So this really tells us that Rita is still afraid to deal with the problem. But that's okay. She's still doing the right thing all the way through the dream. African-American, the girl being African-American is about getting to the root of an issue, the root of where all my fears come from, or all Rita's fears come from. And of course, it's childhood in this case. Then she tells us that the little girl is from a movie she saw. So she's an actress. And like I said, this backs up the fact that she's a channel from earlier when she did the cutout of the dolphin. Dolphins are always going to be about channeling. So that's the dream. Quite a good dream, and quite a lot of gifts. There's even more than I said. Obviously, there's a prophecy element in it, because we see her saying, hey, this is going to be the future. But I would take it more, rather than saying she's prophetic, I would take it more to say that at one point in her life, she knew this is where she was going, but then didn't go there.
So that's interesting. So summarize the gifts real quick. She's a spiritual leader that she hasn't stepped into yet. She's a hands-on healer that she hasn't stepped into yet, or is not
Well, we don't
using.
know if she has or hasn't, but she certainly hasn't fully stepped into them.
Okay, and that's what the dream is trying to encourage her to do, as well as heal some of the issues from childhood.
Yes. And she's also a channel.
Oh, that's right. I missed the channel. Wow, that was a super dream. All righty, let's move on to the next dream that even shows more of what Rita's up to. So this one's titled, The Fears and Guilt of Lying. Ooh, like the title. I trespass a house. It's next to a mural wall with a vintage lettering painting that says goods and foods or something along those lines. It's an old brick house that's beige peachy colored, and they have clothes hanging outside. The yard looks quite unkept, and I think it's okay to go inside and see if Nuna lives there to befriend her for food. I go inside and explore the house, and then when I'm coming out, I hear people. It's the Nuna's daughter. I freak out and lie and say, "Hey, sorry, I found some clothes that fell on the street, so I came in to hang them back up." And she's like, "Oh, which one?" So I take her through the house and lie that the two pink underwear fell. And then I see a baby on the couch and say, "I found a baby outfit too." And the lady is like, "Oh, I'll pay you for your help. Or do you use a computer program I can buy for you?" I'm trying to escape all the offers, but I'm curious why she has free computer programs. So I asked her what program. She says Microsoft Mirror. And then I asked her what she does. She says that her and her daughter do podcast speaker equipment in a high quality way, as in change the colors of the metal to green and pink, etc. They're setting up a giant TV as a computer monitor, and I see some olive green metal podcast equipment. They say they do motion capture and surveillance. I remark that is cool and leave. I recount this to Ben and Charis and freaking out because now I think they could have surveillance and replayed footage to realize I never picked up fallen off clothes and just trespassed. I panicked. Ben's giving me rational explanation for an outing or an out. I genuinely wasn't trying to break in. I just wanted to befriend Anuna and get food, but don't know how to explain that cause. It's quite strange. So I sit in my worry, knowing that I'll probably see them again because it's down the street from my parents, and it's not like my parents will move. Oh boy.
All
I
right.
love it. Trespassing.
So it was a little bit longer than I thought. Maybe we should have broken this up, but I haven't. So trespassing, like I said before, is about not feeling welcome while in the womb. So entering the house is entering mom's body, and then feeling like you're trespassing at that point means that you didn't feel welcome. All the references to food. First, we know Rita is a hands-on healer, but did she get fed well as a child? Certainly a question mark is over that. The peachy color of the house tells us she's a counselor, but we expect that given her start to life, her poor bond with mom, and mom not loving her unconditionally. So that's another one to add to her list. We also see computer programs and clothes to be hung up. This is about childhood conditioning or programming from mom. And we know it is childhood because of entering the house at the start, but also we see a baby outfit being mentioned. So that's attitudes picked up from childhood because clothes represent attitudes. Olive green is mentioned, and this shows that Rita is not happy. Olive is a pawn asking her to commit to life, to continue living. The color is mentioned around monitoring and surveillance equipment, so her mom was critical. We saw that with the receipt in the last dream. The pink underwear also is not good. It implies that part of mom's lack of unconditional love was to do with Rita's gender, since underwear is obviously clothes for that part of your body. And this may explain the male cousin at the end of the last dream. The dream then shifts to the issue of trespassing. Again, the focus is on not feeling wanted. This is the big issue to be resolved, and it is firmly connected to her parents because she ends the dream with stating that her parents live just down the street, and that's a problem.
Wow, I'm really excited about all of her dreams, but sounds like there's some work to do there that the dream is trying to heal.
It's definitely pointing out more work she needs to do. And that's true for all of us. Our dreams are going to guide us or heal us. And she does really well in the first dream. She really participates in the healing, in the whole scenario of the dream. In the second dream, not so good. But we learn more about what the issues are. The whole fear of being caught lying. She's an adult, being caught lying to somebody else down the street. So what? How important are they in your life? it's going to feel uncomfortable, but it shouldn't crush her the way this does now. So we know that there's going to be an issue around her parents with the surveillance and monitoring, and then punishment for being caught lying or something like that. And we all know kids lie. Kids lie at various different times, but it's an innocent thing. I think everybody goes through it. But she probably really got crushed by her parents around something like that. And also the sense of not feeling welcome, being connected with that. So I can't be caught doing anything wrong because I'm not even wanted in the first place. Of course, it mightn't be as clear as that in Rita's mind, but the point of the dream is to bring it all to the surface to say, look, this is what you really need to work on. And your dreams will work on it, but you accelerate it by a phenomenal factor by taking action based on what you see in your own dreams. I did have another dream from her that I'm not including, and she called it the trepidations of travel. And I'm just going to read the very start of that. She says, I'm in England for a few days. I get off and I see a big Queen Victoria statue, lots of old buildings, chucking out some clothes in the process, a royal blue coloured buttoned shirt. I miss my train to the airport, but I make it somehow. So I cut out a little bit of that. But we see the Queen Victoria and we see the royal blue button-up shirt as well. So we know that she definitely is a spiritual leader, and that works through an open and compassionate heart. And we see lots of green and pink in her dreams. So that's where she has to do the work on mom, lots of work on mom. And that's going to really activate the gifts that she has, heal the issues that she has, and allow her to help other people, because that's what she's here for, to help other people. Like even with the counseling side, that's helping somebody completely go from where they are to where they need to be, helping them get through all the difficult stuff that they've got in life. And I may have said this before on the show, if you're a counselor and you get help from somebody else, the beauty of that is you really get a 2-for-1, because being a counselor, you can also see how the method that a person uses to help you, how it's working. And you can then use that yourself while you're helping other people.
That's brilliant. A couple questions. Both dreams, and including this one, there seems to be a lot of anxiety and anxiousness around. Do you think that's part of her normal life as a side issue because of this poor bond with the earth and
definitely
poor bond with mom?
Yeah, so it's going to be pervasive. So it's like, do you feel anxious now? And there may not be the word, but it's going to be around that, like scared, because we see the girl is scared and worried about her parents, confronting her parents. And then we see that she's afraid of being caught lying and all that sort of stuff. So that feeling, whatever that feeling is in the dream, she's going to have that today in waking life. It may not be all the time, but I suspect it is. And she's going to think it comes from other things. But the dream is saying, look, this feeling comes from way back here. That's what you need to work on in order to heal this issue. And once she does that, that negative feeling will go.
And in both of these dreams, actually all three of the dreams, even the small one that you read, she's talking about clothing. So what does clothing have to do with? Is that thoughts like hair, or is
No, it's attitudes. So it's attitudes I picked up in childhood. And when we see clothes on hangers, it means I have hang-ups from childhood. So I have attitudes that I've picked up, or attitudes I was forced to pick up, or attitudes I was subjected to. Whatever it is, anyway, it's going to be a hang-up that I've got. So a trigger that sets me off. And these are all things that, are easy to discover because our dreams are very explanatory, and then easy to work on once you know what the issue is.
And then one last question. So in the very last dream, she's talking about she missed her train to the airport. So has she missed her time to do this work, or?
No, that's a good question though. We see this in dreams all the time, like having to get a train here, make a connection, get a bus, then get a plane. Or even if it's just like trying to get to the airport but going to miss it. It's telling you that you're not listening to your higher self, that you're getting nudges that tell you what you're meant to be doing in your life and you're ignoring them. And that's what the missing the train is about. So I'm missing opportunities because I'm not really embracing life. But she's still going to make it. And that's what it says in the dream. I make it somehow. So we have lots of opportunities. Our higher self doesn't just give up because we miss one thing, obviously. And especially when it comes to gifts and healing, there's going to be a myriad of opportunities for us to actually do the work, to discover what the issue is, or to discover what our gift is and learn how to use it properly and use it to help other people.
Wow, that was fabulous. What an incredible set of dreams. I really, really loved how you opened that up. All righty, let's move on. Our next dream is from Sophie, and it's titled Spells. There's a little girl who is creating some sort of spell, hurting people. She has 5 articles or a few articles or items. The final and most powerful is a hat, which has 5 stars or nodules on it. I'm trying to figure out how I can warn people to keep them safe without harming the girl. I'm thinking about my own hat, and I'm running through ideals in my head.
So she says she's thinking about making her own hat at the end. So the little girl who's creating a spell and hurting people is the dreamer is aware of how people around her are impacted by other people's negative thoughts. Negative thinking, if you can fly in your dreams or have the gift of telepathy, negative thinking is literally putting a spell on somebody else. Literally. I don't know if literally is the word to use, but that's what you're doing in effect, is you are putting a field on another person that either hurts them if you're thinking negatively or helps them if you're thinking positively. And so this dreamer is very spiritually advanced. She helps people in groups spiritually, like helps heal them, healing past life stuff, all sorts of things like that. And she's aware of how negative people affect the members of her groups. And she's wondering in reality whether she needs to do anything about that. And when I channeled on this, I was told no. All she needs to do is protect herself. And that's what her own hat piece is about. So once she has herself protected, then it doesn't matter what anybody else is trying to do. The 5 stars on the hat, and 5 is about karma. So it's kind of like a karmic thing. It's something that she's got to learn how to deal with herself, but she doesn't need to pass that learning on to anybody else. She doesn't need to say to anybody else, this is what's going on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. I like the dream because we don't see this often enough in dreams. There is a lot of negativity in the world, and we rarely see somebody having a dream about it and about how that negativity is hurting other people. So I liked it for that reason. I wanted to include it.
That's fabulous. It's really an interesting dream. And I like that you point out people that have this ability are usually people that fly in their dreams. So not everybody has this, right?
Correct. And if you do have it, it doesn't mean every thought hurts somebody. You have to kind of like hold that negative thought for a minute or so, and then it starts hurting somebody else. Of course, if you're in a meditative state or other positive, high vibrational state, and then you think negatively, well, then it's an instantaneous hit on the other person. But in general, when you're talking about somebody and you say something negative, it's okay as long as you don't dwell on it or don't repeatedly come back to that person and think negatively about them. You definitely get karma from that.
Very interesting. Well, Michael, I think that's about all we can cover for today. Before we go, do we have any upcoming events?
We do. We have a webinar coming up on the 17th of January. If you're interested in that, go to dream-analysis.com/webinar and you can register for it. We do have other things after that. We have the Spiritual Dimension of Dreams course that we haven't run for a while. It's our most popular course. And I think that's coming up on something like the 21st of January. So both this month.
Fabulous. That's so exciting. Well, thank you, Michael. This was awesome getting a peek into someone's life and the journey that they're on. I really enjoyed this, and I hope everybody has a fabulous week.
Bye.
Bye.